to Mobility Night. And so some of you guys are coming in for a refresher. Some of you guys are coming in for the very first time. Some of you guys have a background in some sorts of mobility, but not specifically what we do here at Mission Fit. But what we want, I want to do 4 things with you guys tonight. Number 1, I want to educate you on the what and the why. There's a lot of reasons to why we mobilize and why we have it at the front end of every single workout that we do. Number 2, I want you guys, I'm going to take you guys through a routine, but I want you to, we're going to do a lower body test and a retest so you really see the value in doing this. I'm going to teach you techniques and tools, how to do it and how to use different tools from the ground up tonight. And then also use this as when you're injured. All right, I have to keep letting people in. Shouldn't have done that. And Mom never, let me get, Mom, I'm muting you. All right, so what is mobility? Mobility is the ability to move freely and with ease. So that is what we're looking for. When we are looking at a workout, and we want you guys to participate in a workout, if we back that up, everybody knows that you've got to do a warm-up. Before that, we typically stretch. Before that, we mobilize, and that's what we're going to dig into today. So also from a pain is an epidemic. Pain, not a pandemic, but an epidemic right now. Pain prevents you from performing at your best, and it robs you, because it robs you of your concentration and your performance and your power. But pain is preventable, it's treatable, and you guys all have it within your grasp to work on that, to prevent that. Let everybody in. Admit. Okay. All right, so the difference between mobility and flexibility, this is a big one. This is the question that we get a lot. So flexibility is stretching our muscles and tendons. Mobility is what we need to do before that so that we truly can stretch those muscles and tendons to their true capacity. So if I put this jacket on, and let's picture this jacket being like a child-sized jacket on me, and it being really tight, am I going to be able to stretch to my true capacity? No, because I'm going to be restricted. I've got something really tight over my whole body, just holding me in place and preventing me from getting into positions that I want to get into. Maybe that's a below parallel squat or an overhead press with my chin popping through here. I'm not going to be able to move properly. I'm not going to be able to stretch and get the most bang for my buck until I loosen up that fascia, which is basically the, think about a Halloween web. And we've got that all over our entire body, and it's holding everything in place. It's just under the skin. So if you look at my fingers here, I'm going to try and get a little closer to the camera. You want your fascia to look like a nice, healthy, pliable, flexible, see-through web. Unfortunately, due to overuse, due to underuse, due to misuse, it looks like this. Very tight, very dense, can't see through it. And then we've got these ugly little knots in places. So those of you that have mobilized with us and you have felt going over your quads or going over the ITs or going up the back and you feel that big knot there, that's what that is. That's your fascia. You can't stretch fascia and fix that. The only way to fix that is through massage. And I'm pretty sure no one's going to go for a massage every day. No one can afford that. Maybe Beyonce, but that's about it. So we give you guys the mobility balls, the tools to do it yourself. There's lots of reasons why we do this. So I'm going to read a couple of them so you guys can understand here. So number 1, to relieve aches and pains. All right, so we did ask this earlier. You know, I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit here. We asked the question to our athletes this week of, so when do you mobilize? How do you use it? What does that look like for you? And we did have a lot of people say, when I hurt, I'll start mobilizing when I hurt. So we want you guys to start thinking preventative measures versus repairing situations. We're always going to get tight in workouts. So we know that we have this at at our fingertips to utilize and to use, but we want to try to alleviate that on the front end. So if we can steward it really well, then we won't have an issue to begin with. So another one, here's a big thing, reducing stress. I'm actually going to read this from my certification that I took that was really good. So stress wreaks havoc on every system of the body. Long-term exposure to high levels of stress, hormone cortisol, creates inflammation. It impedes circulation and reduces muscle function by stiffening up the muscles. But when we use the balls, induced relaxation response in your body is what's happening, which creates optimal environment for rest and recovery. The self-massage stimulates specialized nerve endings to minimize arousal, which brings on inner calm. Here's another one, improving posture and performance. So how many of us typically stand, or we've got a kid on the hip, or we're in a pandemic sitting all day long on our computers, or we're done sitting at the computer, now we're in bed, and we look like this all hunched over and have the computer there. So our posture is affected all day long. But the mobility balls, again, are something that can help our posture, which is going to lead into our breathing pattern. So that's the next one, is enhanced breathing function. Shortness of breath can frequently be attributed to a lack of strength and flexibility in the respiratory diaphragm, intercostal, and neighboring muscles. When the balls are used throughout all interwoven muscles of the torso, they palpate, stretch, and knead into the chronically clamped muscles that limit respiratory flow. The therapy balls relieve the layers of muscle that tie into the rib cage, which helps our spinal bones work in harmony with our underlying respiratory diaphragm. So it's helping posture, and then it's also helping us to be able to breathe full breath. So I even know, I've talked about this at the beginning in 101, if we stand like this, and I try to get a deep breath in, I can't. But just by pulling my neck back, I'm not blocking my airway anymore. I've stacked my spinal bones here, and I get a whole different kind of wind in there when I inhale. So we want to be thinking good posture all day long so that we can get the oxygen flowing through our bodies the way that it should. And then increase, the last one is what we talk about every day in here, and that's the most obvious, for your energy and for increased mobility. So if I want you to get more bang for your buck in a workout, you're going to get, where am I doing more work? Here or here? The range of motion. I'm burning more calories, I'm building more strength, I'm getting so much more out of that movement than this. But unless my muscles and tendons and everything are loose enough and that fascia is pliable enough, flexible enough for me to get down there, I'm not going to be able to do that. So that's why we have it at the front end of every single workout. You lead up. So here's what we're going to do. I want you guys to grab the mobility balls. We are going to do a ton of different movements. We're going to work ground up. And here's why. Because God has so intricately connected us that we could have a headache and really there's something going on in the foot. So if we can alleviate something south, it might help something north. So we're going to start low and work high. But we're going to do a little retest now. So what I want you guys to do is just stand up, put your feet together, knees are going to lock out. I'm going to go to the side so you can kind of see what I do here. And I'm just going to hinge at the hip and see how far down I get. And I want you, if you have a pen or a marker, or if you're really good at remembering where that is, I want you to take note of that. Maybe it's a little freckle on your leg, but I want you to take note of where that is before we start, because we're going to come back and do that again after we do a little mobility routine and recheck that. And most likely, you're going to be a lot more flexible, and we're not even going to do any stretching. All right? So do your little trick there. Make your note. And then what I want you to do, we're going to start with the feet. So you guys should have the balls from us. I know some of you are new and they're still on their way, or they might be in transit. Hopefully, Jenny, you've gotten yours. I know that they are in the mail. Yes, they arrived. Good. All right, so we're going to start with the feet. We walk on our feet all day long. Your feet have muscles too, and they can get cramped up, and we need to be able to release that. So take one ball out, And I want you to put it underneath the ball of the foot. So we're going to start with the ball under the ball of the foot. Your heel is going to be on the ground. And I want you to put as much pressure in this as you feel you can without feeling pain. So as we go up the body, we want to be pushing into each muscle only as hard as we feel we're doing work, but not damaging tissue. All right, so now what I want you to do is keep that heel on the ground, and you're going to go left and right with this. So some of these movements are going to feel a little bit awkward at first. You're going to go left and right. And whatever we do on the right, we do on the left. We're going to do that for the lower half, and then the upper half, we're going to breeze through, and I'm just going to give you the education on how to do that. We're not going to do both sides. All right, now I want you to switch. So the next piece is we're bringing that ball to the heel, and your toes, the box part of your foot is going to be on the ground. And we are going to go back and forth. Now, if you have plantar fasciitis, this is probably going to be a little bit painful, so back off a little bit. The nature of the balls, the reason why they're not like a lacrosse ball really hard is because you want to have something a little bit softer when you're working on tissue. If you feel pain in your body retracting off of something because it's so hard, you're actually damaging tissue. You're not doing anything to help yourself out there. Now I want you to put it down just like a little high heel, and I want you to put as much weight into it as you can. See if you can put all of your weight into it. If you need to hold on to something for some balance, absolutely do it. Just relax into it. Good. Now, this is everybody's favorite. Now you're going to roll the whole foot. So I want you to get the arch of your foot. And remember, we've got a little plank of a foot here. So you're going to have to get the inner arch, the middle, and the outer. So take a couple stripes in there, put as much pressure in as you can. Dig, 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 dig. And remember, whatever muscle we're working, we're relaxing. So if you've ever had a massage, you're not tense in there, or they're not getting anything done. You've got to relax for them to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. Also, if you've had a massage, note that they don't just dig deep immediately. At least they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be digging deep immediately. They earn the right to go deeper and deeper. So you're stripping away layer after layer after layer in here. All right, so what we do on the right, we do on the left. So with the first thing that we did, it was under the ball of the foot, the ball under the ball. So I'm going to give you a few new tools on this one. So you can go under the ball. The other area you can get, in addition, is right where that arch meets the ball of the foot. So it's just a little bit tiny, a little bit further down, just a centimeter down. You can put pressure into it just like this. You can still do the left and right, the rubbing back and forth there. Relax that foot, hold on to something for balance if you need. And then we're gonna go to the heel. Put all your pressure down on it like a little high heel, see if you can put all your weight into it. And the newer your balls are, they will be a little stiffer. Over time, they're gonna loosen up. So you might need to get some new ones come a couple years in. Good, and then we're gonna roll out that heel. You also, just like we just talked about on this foot, right where that arch meets the heel now, so a little bit further north on my foot, I can also do that. I can put pressure in here and dig in. Good. Now roll that full arch. Roll that full arch. Another thing to take note of as you're going up and we're doing left side versus right, pay attention to if one side is tighter than the other. That's a red flag. They should feel the same. They should both be tight, or they should both be loose and nice and limber. Hopefully everything is loose and nice and limber. Probably not going to be, but take note of that, because that might mean that you are compensating. That might mean that your spine is off and you're leaning a little funky, or that might be just a, yep, kind of figured that was coming. I hold kids on my left side, so my left side is very messed up. All right, so now I want you to come down to the floor, have a seat, still with one ball, and we're gonna learn a new technique called the pin and spin. So what I'm gonna do here is just lay that leg loose. I'm gonna use that ball and I'm gonna pin and spin in different areas. And I'm gonna go around my ankle bone to start with. Pin and spin around my ankle bone. Good. And now I'm going to reverse it. So I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to get the outside of that area, the outside of that ankle bone. I'm going to go all the way around, pinning and spinning. And then I'm going to get the top of my feet, so the metatarsals. So I'm going to go, basically, you've got your 5 toes there, and I'm going to go in between each one, and that's where I'm going to roll the ball forward and backward in between each one. Put some pressure into there. Good. Now I want you to put the ball back in the little tote. So we got both of them in there. There are techniques that we can do with one. There are techniques that we can do with two. But the two are going to need to be in the tote to do it. So we're going to start working up the body. So the next thing we're going to get is our Achilles into our calf. Now we're going to start getting to places that get kind of tight. If you wear heels, if you do a lot of walking outside, if you do a lot of stairs, this is going to be tight. So prepare yourself. So I want you to lay the Achilles in between the two balls. Dead center. Now you're going to use your little tripod here. Lift yourself up. Relax that foot. And you're just going to rock back and forth. So you're actually going to the back side of the heel there. Let me move this way a little bit so you can see better. So put as much pressure in as you feel you can. And again, as we move up the body here, we're going to get to areas that are wider, that have more meat there. So it's going to take getting the inner, getting the back, getting the outer. So mobility is slow. This is not a fast thing. This is not a workout. We're digging in here. If you are strong enough with your upper body and you want to dig in a little bit more, you don't feel like you're getting much, feel free to use your upper body. Put this free leg on top of the leg that you are mobilizing and lift the hip. And roll yourself forward and backward. Now I want you to start working up the calf more. So we got the lower calf, so start working all the way up. I don't want you to do the back of the knee, but I do want you to work all the way up that calf there. So little swipes at a time on the inner side, on the back here, and on the outer side here. Keep working it up and up and up. And what we do on the right, we do on the left. So remember, cradle that Achilles in between the two balls. Use your tripod to hold you up. Relax the foot. Little swipe slowly forward and backward. Put as much pressure in as you feel you can. Take note of if one side is tighter than the other. That might mean we need to spend a little extra time there. Keep working up the body here. Working up that calf. I know I've got lots of meat up here, lots of ouchies too. So here's another technique. When you get part way up, when you get more to the upper calf area where there is more meat, here's another trick. You're going to rock left and right. Instead of going forwards and backwards, we're now just going to rotate that knee in and out, the leg in and out. And you're going to feel that digging a little bit different. This is what's usually more painful for me. The forward and backwards I can handle. The left and right, that's where I start feeling those knots in there, in that fascia. And if you have a super extra special friend at home that wants to put down and do that for you, feel free to let them. All right, now we're going to flip on over and we're going to get the shin. So again, we're just going to cradle the muscle. We're actually going to cradle our shin bone in between these two balls. You're going to have all three, two arms and your free knee on the ground. And we're going to go forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. So you can start low and work high. You can get a long strike here if you're flexible enough to do that. Dig in, dig in, dig in. And what we do on the right, we do on the left. So if you guys want, when you're on your own, you can do as long of a mobility session as you want. I think it's a great thing to do when you're watching TV and kind of double up there. If you're on a long phone call or listening to a podcast or on a conference call that you don't really have to say much, easy to just pop on the floor and listen in and do something. Do something else with the time. All right, now here's one that's a little bit painful, a little bit more painful. If you have a kettlebell or a dumbbell at home, snag it. If not, find something that has a little bit of weight to it. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the peroneal. So that is a calf muscle, but it's more on the inside, left and right here. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get this a couple different ways. Give you guys 1 second to grab some. I'm going to have you take one ball out. One ball out, and I want you to sit like this and put it under upper calf on the outside. On the ground, pin it on the ground, and just relax the entire calf. If you need, whatever you need to do with the rest of your body to get in this position is okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my weight. If you have a kettlebell, this is the easiest way to do it, is just flip it upside down. You don't want your heaviest kettlebell, you don't want your heaviest weight, but you are going to dig. So take your little fingers and touch your shin bone, and then I want you to just drag it across to where you can feel your shin bone kind of drop down to the back of it. That muscle in there, that's what we want to get good right now. So we're pressing it up, we're propping it up by having that ball under there. You're going to put the edge of the kettlebell or your weight or whatever you have right on the back side of that shin. And you're just going to rock it back and forth, cradling it like a little baby. Back and forth slowly. You can move that ball a little lower if you need to. You're only going to be able to go so low. But you can move it a little bit. Gently rock back and forth here. Try to relax and breathe through the pain here. All right, what we do on the right, we do on the left. So get that ball set up underneath your calf. Position yourself however you need to. Relax the calf. Find the back side of that shin bone, and that's where you're going to gently place the weight and cradle and rock back and forth. Move it down or move it up wherever you need to. One more little spot. Good. All right. Now, keep one out. We're going to rotate to the stomach, or well, not, we're going to flip over, but we're still going to be working the legs. We're going to start working up the quads, and then we're going to get our hamstrings, then we're going to get our IT. So around the knee, a lot of us have knee issues. We're going to talk about some links into why. But just above your knee here, you have what's called the suprapatellar pouch. And it's just like a little rainbow on the top of your knee. The Sometimes this swells and can get filled with fluid when we do a lot of bounding or if we have a knee issue. But typically there's a lot of junk that gets yucky in there, and that's what we're gonna work on now. So you're gonna pin that ball just on the top. You're gonna get down onto the ground on all fours. And you're gonna see if you can, using your tripod again, so 2 hands and the free leg out to the side, if you can gently move that ball in a rainbow fashion around the top of the knee. I can already hear mine, I can feel mine. Lots of yucks in there, lots of junk in there. Woo. The inner side of my knee is way tighter than the outer. Good, and what we do on the right, we do on the left. So move into that left side. And if you're flexible enough, you don't quite have to lay on the ground. You can kind of be in a kneeling position. And again, you only put as much pressure in as you feel you need to work it, but not hurt it. All right, so now what I want you to do is pin one ball, take that one ball and put it on the back side of your knee. And I want you to close the knee. Close that knee in. So you can almost see it in there. I'm kind of hiding it in between the back of my leg here. And so I want you to bring that heel in tight. You might already feel pressure in here. This is another way to get the calf. It's also working the knee a little bit. It's creating some space in the knee joint area. So you can move around here a little bit. You can also, you have options of where you put this ball. You can put it more towards the inside. You can put it more towards the outside. And I like to use my opposite hand to drive off with. And I like to put my elbow on the inside of the knee that I'm working. That way I can kind of push on it and get some leverage when I move forward. Just hinging your body forward and backwards. If you do not have any knee injuries and you're comfortable getting on your knee, or if you have something soft if you're on carpet at home, here's the other one. Pin it behind just like we did. And you're gonna relax that calf and sit back. You're probably not gonna be able to sit all the way back, so you're gonna wanna hold on to something. But you can rock left and right. You can just hold it and try to relax that muscle. But whatever we do on the right, we do on the left. And you might have one calf. My right calf is really, really tight right now, but my left is okay. Good, dig in there. Good. Then we're gonna work up the quad here. So, pop that ball back in the toe. We're gonna go just above the knee. So we're gonna start on that suprapatellar pouch, just like we did with the single ball. And what we're gonna do is lay on top of it. And now we're gonna start getting down onto the ground a little bit more. So I want you to pin it there, hands out, and you're gonna bring that free leg a little bit to the side. If you have the flexibility to do that, do it. And you're just gonna roll up and down, up and down. Only putting as much pressure as you need, slow rolling. And as you know, the quad is a larger area. So you are gonna have to work the inside, the middle, and the outer quad here. Different stripes. You're not gonna get a long, long stripe and be able to go from the suprapatellar pouch all the way to your hip flexor. You're gonna have to continuously work up the body here. So the higher I get on my quad, the lower to the ground I'm gonna have to get. And then we're gonna switch. So what we do on the right, we do on the left. As you know. And just start working it up again. Start at the suprapatellar pouch and start to put some pressure in and drive north with that ball or those balls. And work it all the way up towards that hip flexor. So there's differences. A lot of people ask as well, why don't we use a lacrosse ball? Well, because lacrosse balls are very dense. They do have the rubbery coating, which is great for getting some traction and being able to grip against the skin and the clothing. But they can just, I've seen them do damage. And in the certification too, they talk about how damaging they can be. If you feel your body retracting off of the ball, you're damaging tissue. All right. So now we're going to get the hamstring, and then we're going to get the IT band. So hamstrings are a little bit harder. You never want to get a hamstring on the ground. You always want to get the hamstring on a box or a chair, and we can only do one at a time. So hopefully you have a little prop to bring in here, and I'll demo. I'm just going to have my knee relaxed. Over this, I'm going to have the balls under me. Again, this is one of those that you're not going to get a long stripe on. So I'm just going to relax that knee and move forward and backward, little stripes. So start it as close to the back of the knee as you can. If you want some extra pressure in there, if you don't feel like you can get enough weight into it, put that free hand on top of your knee and use your upper body to drive into that a little bit. Relax that knee and keep working up and get both sides. What we do on the right, we do on the left. Now, the reason why we don't mobilize on the ground for the hamstrings is because my hamstring would be locked out. It's in a tight, taut position. If I have a rubber band that's tight and taut and I'm trying to mobilize it, I can't really get a whole lot done. And actually, I'm at a risk for ripping it, for denting it, for putting little nicks in it, and for fraying it. We don't want to do that. We want a nice, healthy, relaxed, limber muscle to dig into. So we're going forward and back, forward and back. What you do on the right, you do on the left. Work all the way up. And then what you're going to do is take one ball out, and we're going to get a very technical spot here. I like to call it the happy face. Hopefully it's not a sad face. So we're going to go right under the butt cheek there. So right where your hamstring loops in and connects underneath the glute there. So hopefully it's a little happy face and not a sad face. So what you're going to do, again, one at a time, you're going to sit and have that ball right there, and you're just going to go and you're just going to trace that smiley face. Left and right, left and right. And then we'll switch. What we do on the right, we do on the left. Get that smiley face. Dig in there. Good. All right. So pop the balls back in, and we're going to work the IT. Now, the IT is something that typically more women have issues with than men. It's going to be one of my gate questions when I get to heaven is, why the tapered look? Why, dude? So we have more knee issues. Women will have more knee issues than men because we have this tapered look. So we have the IT band, your iliotibial band that runs, it connects in your hip, and it runs all the way down and connects in the knee. Well, if I have this that's tight, it's going to pull my knee in a funky direction. All right, so we want that nice and limber so that we can move. So that's what we're going to loosen up, and this is going to be probably for everybody one of the tightest spots on you. If you are a runner, if you're a sprinter, if you do a lot of squats, which I know if you're training with us, you do, these are areas that can get tight. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit your little fanny on the ground. You're going to take the double balls. You are going to pin the middle of the balls to the outside of your knee, basically at the start of your IT band. I'm going to pin it down, and I'm going to lay down. So everybody get to that position because this is kind of funky to get in. My free hand in front here. I'm going to bring my free foot in front so that I can lift my body off the ground. Now again, I'm going to have to leverage using my upper body strength so that I can get my lower body. I'm going to relax that knee, relax that leg, and I'm just going to start smoothing north and south. Try to relax that body, and just by moving and rotating my torso a centimeter, I can have a completely different feeling here. So you want to look for where that pain is, where those knots are. When you find a knot, like I have one right here, I'm going to hang out here for a second, relax, and then I'm going to kick my own butt 3 times. So I'm going to go 1. That's an ART move. 2. This is called a pin and spin action. And 3. On the count of 3, when I'm bringing that heel to my butt, I'm also going to roll that ball all the way up towards my hip. So you're going to continue doing that. Work all the way up. This is a wide area here. So get that good. And what we do on the right, we do on the left. So pin that on the outside of the knee, the middle of the balls, relax that leg, bring your free leg and free hand in front, lift the hips, and then use the rest of your body to help mobilize you to work up and down. Good, work all the way up that IT. All the way up, all the way up. If you are somebody that feels like this is just too intense in that position, here's your other option. You can manually do it. You can use your upper body and just relax that leg here and just roll up. Some days after certain workouts, this is all you're going to be able to handle. You can also take the one ball, keep it in there, but just rotate it up, and you can stripe. It's called striping. So you're just going to stripe straight up, like you're rowing on one side. Try to relax that leg as much as you can. So you have even more control over how much pressure is going in there. And what we do on the right, we do on the left. So dig into that left side really good. Again, take note of which one is tighter. Could be compensating in your squat. If you even lean just an inch further right or left, it's going to tweak stuff. You're going to be overworking one area and underworking the other. We're going to create a little imbalance there. Good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start working into the glutes a little bit, and then we're going to get into the front, the hip flexors and the psoas, those core muscles that are really important, and then we're going to retest. So what I want you to do, first things first, I want you to sit on this. So essentially, you're going to have one glute on each ball. So just sit, hands to your feet here. You're going to use your body to move forward and backward. So I'm able to go all the way under to my little butt bones, and then I'm able to go all the way up to essentially my low back. Then I want you to just rotate your hips ever so slightly, and you're going to have both balls under just one glute. And we're going to get one glute really good. Relax that glute. Slowly, slowly, slowly dig in there and up the one glute, and then we'll rotate sides. Which side? Gotta get all the way up to that medius right there. All the way up, all the way up. Good. All right, so now I'm gonna have you take one ball out, migrating back and forth. And what I want you to do is place that one ball. We're going to get the right hip, the right glute into the hip pocket, and then the left. So you're going to lift that fanny up just a little bit, tuck the ball under there, and sink. Now you should not have that right under the bone. It's going to be just to the right of the bone. So I can feel my right tissue bone. And I'm just going to lean into this, put some pressure in. And I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm going to find another area. Move it a couple different places. And dig in. Put some pressure in there. Now I want you to find a knot in there. Find a tight spot. Lean your hip over to that side. And then let that knee drop out and in. Slowly. Normally you do this about 10 times. I'm not going to have you do it 10 times. But this is a release. So you're going to feel some pain as you're going out and in here, but it's pin and spinning on a knot there to try to release it. Then you're going to do some frog legs. We had clamshells, and now we're doing frog legs. So we're keeping it in the same spot, and it's just my knee that's moving. You can do this in a couple different places. So now I want you to roll that whole glute all the way around. Get that whole glute. Find those tight spots, go all around. Now what I want you to do, stay in that same area, on that same glute, and you're gonna twist your hip out and in. So I'm actually able to get this almost into my hip pocket. What it looks like when I'm doing it underneath here is I'm getting it all the way into here. Okay, so get it into that hip area. You can do a little up and down, but really your easiest shot is just gonna be left and right. So dig, dig, dig. Good. Switch sides. We're going to get the left side. So it was the first thing that we did. We got in there. We found a tight spot. We're just going to put some pressure in. Just put some pressure in. Start to loosen that area up. And relax. Come off. Find another spot. Go back in. Hold tight. Put some pressure in there as much as you can handle. Take a deep breath out, sink deeper into that ball. Think about letting it absorb into the body. All right, now we're going to do some clamshells. So get that tight spot, find that knot, and we're going to do clamshells in and out. And then we're going to do some frog legs. And then we're going to roll that full glute. Make sure you get all the way up to the upper glute here, and then we're going to twist those hips and get into the hip area. Twist and get into that hip pocket area. All right, now we're going to get into the medius area. So this is something, that piriformis area, that can be really tight for a lot of people. So essentially it's going to be the upper glute. So we got the little happy face under here. Now we're going to go further to the top. So I want you to think, when you wear jeans, about where that pocket, the top of that pocket is really where that medius is. That piriformis is up here leading into that medius. So I want you to dig into this area. And the way you're going to do that is find it. You might even have to get into on your elbows to get it, depending on your anatomy, how tall, short your limbs are. And you're just going to go left and right, north and south. Get that whole area. So that piriformis is running from the hip across here. This is something that can be quite tender. The top of the glutes there. You can also do some clamshells here if you want. You can pin an area and just try to relax it. You can go left and right across it. You can do some little zigzags. And what we do on the right, we do on the left. So find that piriformis, the top of that mom jean pocket. Get in there good. Roll around on it. Left and right, north and south. Try and relax that muscle. All right, now we're going to roll over and we're going to get our hip flexors. So for those of you that have been stuck in this pandemic, sitting in front of a computer for several hours a day, or you're somebody that drives several hours for work, We see a lot of truck drivers, a lot of pastors that sit for hours and hours, counselors that sit for hours and hours. And if you've ever had that where you're sitting at your desk or somewhere, and then you go to get up, and it's like you're stuck, and you kind of have to do that duck waddle for a little bit until it loosens up, that's your psoas and your hip flexors tightening up and shortening, actually. And they're spasming when you try to jump up, and they don't have anywhere to go because they're so tight at that point. So that's why it's great if you can, another thing, if you can bring these to work with you. Or I guess maybe many of us are working from home these days, but if you can encourage yourself to get up and do this, you know, maybe twice a day, just for a couple minutes, it can really give you a longer work day as far as being able to sit and not have that pain. So what I want you to do, your hip flexors are in the front. They connect your torso to your quad. And it's exactly, if I put my finger kind of, actually goes right in that, well, not the men, but for the women, the bikini line there. So if you put your little finger there and you lift your knee up, you're actually going to feel that little tendon kind of pop up right in there. That's your hip flexor. That's what allows us to step up onto things. And it can get overused, it can be underused. So I want you to put that ball right on it and just lay. Lay on it. This is not one that we are going to be moving around with, so just relax over the ball. We will have a few more movements that we do with it, but the first one is just relaxing over it. We're not going to hold quite as long as I would normally if I was really focusing on this area, but you get the point here. So now what I want you to do, turn to the side so you can see, I want you to tuck that toe under and lock out your knee, contracting the entire leg. So you're going to feel some more pressure into that ball and relax. So a good rule of thumb for this one is holding for about 10 seconds and relaxing for about 10 seconds. So we're going to go again. Contract, contract, contract everything on that leg and relax. So here's the last one you can do. When you go up and contract, raise that heel to do this 10 times. So that's doing that pin and spin action again. So we can do that pin and spin action in a lot of different areas. And then we're going to switch. So what we do on the right, we do on the left. So we're going to get that left one. We're just going to find that hip flexor and just lay on it. And start by just laying on it. So here's another value. Another thing that people often ask is, okay, well, why can't I use a foam roller? Or mobilizing. A lot of people have used a foam roller. They're not bad for most things. They can be, if you are someone that likes to roll it up your back, keep an eye on that because that's something that's actually very damaging and dangerous for the spine. All right, so you got nerves, you got tons, I mean, the spine is a very nervy, important area, and it can actually damage the back if you are putting direct pressure along the spine there. So that's one reason why it's not good. You'll see how we can use these balls to cradle that and protect the spine. The other thing is little nooks and crannies like this. If we have a foam roller, can't really dig in there with it. We can't really get blood flow to areas like we can with this and heal areas. So now, what was our next thing? So we're going to contract that area. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Put as much pressure in as you can and relax. Deep breath out. And contract again. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. And relax. Good. Hold tight one more time and heel to Jesus 10 times. Get it up there. Put as much pressure in as you can. Keep that knee locked out and relax. Good. All right, the next one up here, we're going to get the psoas. So that's another one that is a core muscle that can get really tight. A lot of times we think that we have back problems, and people will come and say, oh, my back just hurts so bad. I've got to do core strengthening stuff, or I've got to build this up. I've got a back issue. You have to build up core, but a lot of times it's actually not a back issue. It's just that these core muscles are so tight from sitting and fatigued that they're pulling. So if I have something here that's all knotted up, yeah, it's going to pull me in an odd position, and then I'm going to move in bad positions and potentially get injured. So to find your hip flexor, to find your psoas with the ball, I want you to put one finger on your belly button, and one on the crest of the front of your hip bone. And then I want you to put that ball directly in the middle. And that's about where your psoas is going to be. So you're just going to lay on that. So this might be another one of those areas that's pretty uncomfortable. So see how you feel. We're going to do the right and the left. So I just want you to absorb that ball into the body. We are not going to be mobilizing around. We are just going to think and relax and have a little nap here. This is the easiest. This is one of the most important ones you could be doing on a regular basis. And how easy is it to just watch a Netflix movie or a Hulu show and lay on the ball? Anybody can do it. All right, so see if you can get your body all the way down. Now what I want you to do, if you are comfortable doing this, if you are not in severe pain right now, what you're gonna do, move back a little bit to the side. You are gonna do a Sphinx pose, it's called. So you're gonna relax that stomach, relax that core the whole time, and you're gonna use your upper body to drive you up. Relaxing. You can even press off the hands. So you're getting a good stretch in the abs here while you've got that ball in there. So that's doing that pin and spin action. Come all the way down. Push up on the other side. Woo. And relax. And remember, what we do on the left, we do on the right. So find that psoas. This is a big one. See if you have one side tighter than the other. A lot of times people, if they're doing kettlebell swings or deadlifts, they come over and they say, just one side of my back hurts. That's a sign that one psoas is tighter than the other and it's pulling the back muscles in a funky direction. So relax that body all the way over. And then see if you can do a few sphinxes. Come up, 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 up. And relax over it a little bit deeper. Let it absorb all the way into the body. And then drive off all the way with the hands. You can go in both directions. See if you've got one side, one area a little bit tighter. Good. All right, now I want you guys to come back up. And so we've kind of made it through the lower body here. So we are going to retest our standing position, our toe touch. So put your feet back together, knees touching, feet touching, knees locked out. And I just want you to hinge straight down and see if you can get a little further. I know I can. We have released all of that lower body stuff from the feet all the way into that lower back so that we have more mobility now, which means that I'm going to be able to move into motions a lot more and better and get more bang for my buck in a workout. All right, so now what I'm going to do, we're going to work on the upper body, but we are going to kind of breeze through it. So as we just did the right side and the left side, so you guys can see what it's like to learn it and then to test, retest. We're not going to do that up here. I'm just going to breeze through so you guys understand the movement. So pop that ball back in here. We're going to work up the spine, and then we're going to get to the head, the neck, the arms, the traps. So pop that ball back in. I'm going to pull up my hair because I religiously get my hair caught in the mobility balls, and that hurts. So if you've got long hair, giving you the heads up now. You might want to put it up. Okay, so come on down to where we left off on the top of the glutes here. I want you to go just a little bit north. And as we work up the spine, I need you to keep your spine in between the two balls. These balls are going to cradle the spine all the way up. So lean back. So we've just got lower lumbar here essentially. So relax it. You're going to use your elbows and your feet to move you a little forward and a little backwards. And then we're going to start moving ourselves a little further north, a little further north. And yes, the balls will most likely get caught up in the shirt. You will have to readjust yourself. That's all right. Use your feet. Eventually, when you get about mid-shoulder blades here, a little bit mid-back, you're going to not be able to use your hands anymore. You're not going to be able to use your upper body much at all because of just the nature of where the balls are. So keep using this feet to move you around. A lot of times you'll even get a free adjustment here as you get further up the body. Now, when you get to mid shoulder blade, I want you guys to just lay your head back, breathe and sink in. Bring your hands up to Jesus. Drive those shoulder blades into the ground. So we're putting some pressure in here. So I want you to reach as high as you can and drive the back side of your shoulder blades. Back, 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 back into those balls. Give yourself a big bear hug and rock left and right. And then I want you to keep working your way up the spine this way. We're not going to go into the neck, but you can get all the way into the traps doing this. So kind of bear crawl, bear walk it up all the way. Good. All right, now we're going to get the lats. So we're going to go to the side. Your lats are kind of on your back here. We're going to get the left and the right. You're going to start mid torso here, and we're going to work up. So I want you to cradle the rib cage there. Forward and backward, little shrug north and south. Move the balls up an inch. Forward and backward, move the balls up an inch. Forward and backwards, little north and south. Move it up. The closer you get to the armpit, the more painful this is going to be. So heads up. Forward and backward. We don't realize how much pulling we do day to day and how overworked these muscles get. And we don't really pay much attention to them to steward them and loosen them back up. So another thing that plays into shoulder injuries. I think it's like in the survey they talk about 85 to 90% of injuries are preventable. It's just our tendons and muscle, everything is so tight that if we go to run and grab a kid from running out in the street or a dog from fighting, whatever, things rip because they are not pliable enough. Starting at about 10 years old, you don't see kids having a whole lot of injuries. We start to see the teens ripping things, ripping tendons, ACLs, and having all the issues. And it's because right around puberty, our body is obviously, we know that changing a lot, but even physiologically, things are starting to tighten up a lot. So you see kids run great when they're little. You see kids squat great when they're little. And then things start to tighten up and they're not stewarding those things. They have to start mobilizing at a young age to be able to steward that tissue and it to not tense up. And then they've got the energy to run and to jet out quickly. And those things rip. So work all the way up to that armpit area. And then we're going to switch. No, actually, we're not going to switch sides. We are going to get the QL, that quadratus lumborum. I know it kind of sounds like Harry Potter, but we are going to just say QL. There's no reason you need to learn something long. So that's another one of those core muscles, but it's kind of in here. So above your hip bone and below your rib cage, you got a little bit of meat in there, a little bit of space. And I want you to put that ball right in there, and you're just going to lay on it. So just lay on that ball, relax. The QL is something that's very deep in there. Now what I'm going to have you do is keep it right where it is, but just rotate to your back. So now the ball is under me, and all I did was roll it from my side to my back, but in that same area. So a lot of people would say, oh, it's on my love handle. Yes. You want to think of it that way, think of it that way. Put as much pressure in as you can. You can do some clamshells here. If you're close to a bench or a couch or a bed or something at home, you can put your feet up on there at a 90-degree angle. Put some pressure into that ball and let the knee drop in and out. That's going to put some more pressure in there. All right, then we are going to work. We're going to start working up the body a little bit more, and we're going to work the chest. We're going to start moving to the wall. So if you want to readjust yourself, I'm going to readjust myself to the wall over here, and we're going to do a couple different moves. Let's see, let's shimmy you around. Let's see here. All right, that should be good. Okay, so I'm going to get my chest first, and then I'm going to move to my delts. from my shoulders and then to my back. So I'm going to start here. You never want to pass the breastbone here. All right, we're going to do the right side, and then you would naturally do the left. So all I'm going to do, you're going to see me, it's going to look like I'm making out with the wall in about 2 seconds here. But you're going to go left and right. You can do some zigzags, but we're getting all the way from here to here. So you're going to pin it against the wall. Again, only as much pressure as you need. I can back off, or I can be more intentional and put more pressure in. And I'm just going to keep pressure, keep that ball pinned against the wall, and go left and right. Left and right. Now, I'm going to start here. I'm going to get my delts. So I'm going to go from the front of my armpit, essentially, to the back of my armpit. So I'm going to pin it here, and I'm going to go, we like to call this the roll over in bed. I'm going to just roll over in bed. Put some pressure. I'm going to roll over in bed. Roll back and forth. You can go lower, you can go higher. I'd encourage you to try both. You might feel a vast difference just moving it an inch north or an inch south. All right, so now on the back, and I wish I had an extra person here. It's kind of hard to show you on my own here. But we are going to get the shoulder blades. So we're going to pretend we're in kindergarten here, and we are going to do some coloring. We're going to do some tracing, and then we're going to do some coloring in. So you have your shoulder blade. It's kind of almost like a little C-ish looking thing on your back. You've got muscles that run just under that. That's what we want to get in there. All right. So I'm going to pin it against the wall. Pin it against the wall. Again, only as much pressure as you want, as you need. And I'm going to do some little squats here, essentially, working and tracing that shoulder blade there. All the way down to where I actually got the bottom of my lats here, or the top of my lats, but at the bottom of this, I'm able to get my lats a little bit here. And then you're going to color it in. So you can color east and west, you can color north and south, but only because we have these soft balls, we are able to go on top of the bone here. All right, I'm going to show you one more on the floor that stewards the shoulder blade area. This is a fun one. It's called the seatbelt drill. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a knot on one side, underneath, just where we were working, underneath that shoulder blade. I want you to find a knot. So I'm going to go on my left side here, and I found my knot. So I'm going to let my head drop back. I'm going to keep my knees up. I'm going to keep my lower lumbar pinned to the ground, and I'm just relaxing. It's on my left side. So now I'm going to take my left hand. I'm going to touch my right hip bone. I'm going to keep that elbow locked out, and I'm going to bring it up, 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 and all the way back. All the way down, and all the way up. I'm not quite able to, but I should be able to get that arm all the way down to the ground. So from the front, if you were on top looking, my arm is right up against my ear, my elbow is locked out, and I'm letting it go all the way. So you want to do that 3 times slow, and then find another knot. That's another way that we can release knots in there. It's called the pin and spin action. That's one of those techniques. All right, so now what I want you to do, we're going to do a couple of upper body here. We're going to get the triceps. We're going to get the forearms a little bit. So triceps, you're going to need a box or a bed or a table, nightstand, something. You're going to kneel by it, depending on what height you're at, and you are going to place that tricep in between the 2 balls. You're going to relax that hand. You're going to use your free hand over top for some pressure, as well as just leaning naturally your body weight in, and you're going to roll it forwards and backwards. You can also twist that wrist left and right and dig in there a little bit more. Come on back, dig in a little bit more, Work it up the body. Now, forearms, you're going to have to get a little bit more over top of the forearm when you do this. You're not going to do the underside of the forearm. We're going to get the top side here. So again, like typing, I mean, if you just put your hand gently on the top of your forearm here, and you wiggle your fingers around, you can see all those little tendons moving in there. All of that gets all junked up. It gets really taut and knotty in there, and that's what we want to relax and open up a little bit. So relax that hand, free hand here, put some pressure on it, and dig forwards and backwards and rock it. Make sure that you are not putting pressure. See how I have the balls up here closer to my elbow? I'm not pressing down here. You want to keep the pressure north of where the balls are always. So just relax them. You can go on the outside here. You can twist that elbow, that wrist around and get some different areas. You can also, if this is too tender, like if you've just done a kettlebell workout that was very grippy and you just can't handle that, you can always do the pin and spin. You can just even do this and just try to relax, dig in there. Good. All right, so I want to show you guys how to get the traps. I'm not going to be able to show you that real good from this angle, but we are going to pretend. So what you're going to do, you guys at home, this is going to be way easier. As we're moving into the neck and the head here, pretend this is my, like a door jam. I'm going to put this on my trap at the top, and I'm going to bend over at a 90. And I'm going to pin it into the door trap. I'm going to let it hang there, and I'm going to move my hands all around. I can get a little north and south action, but not much. So this is those also, if you are, again, at a computer, if you're cold a lot, if you are anxious a lot and you're just doing this, those traps are getting really worked and they're going to be tight. A lot of times this is where everybody loves to have that massage up there. So it's just a little awkward for us to get it on our own. But dig in somewhere. See if you can just move the arms around like little Pinocchio elbows, up and down and around. Good. So now, the last few, at the tippity top of our body, we've got our head. You might have a speaking engagement and your jaw might be tired. You might have TMJ. You might have just a day that your jaw is aching, something's going on. We can use the balls. You're going to use a single, and you can do just the pin and spin action here. On the masseter, on the jawline, all the way down here. If you have sinus issues, this is another good one. You can kind of do some striping here. You can do some pin and spin actions on both sides. You can get around the forehead here. You can get the temples. If you've had a stressful day and you want to relax the brain a little bit, you can get the temples. You can also get, if you can see my ear here, just in front of your ear. So not the jaw, not the temple, that little bone that sticks out there. You can pin and spin on that. You can get just behind the ear. The only thing we are not going to do is go right on the neck. You never want to go on the neck. So our final one, and again, so the upper body stuff is great to do just before bed. So that's one that is actually relaxing the body, the nervous system, and it can promote really healthy sleep. Anxiety, hard, stressful days, this is a great thing to do to relax the body. So this is one of my favorites. Put the ball back in the tote. You're going to lay on the ground, and we're going to get the occipital bones. So the occipital bones are on the back of the head. So if you're looking, if you kind of run your fingers up the back of your head, right where you feel it start to fan out, and you have this kind of two bony prominences back there, those are your occipital bones. And those get kind of tight. And it's kind of weird. We don't think about that being tight all the way up in there, but that can lead into neck pain and trap pain and back pain. So I want you to lay on the ground, put the balls kind of one on each side, on each prominence there. And what you're gonna have to hold the balls in place. So you gently hold the balls there, and all you're gonna do is just say no. Say no to something. You're gonna look left and right, and that's gonna be doing the pin and spin action on those occipital bones. You can do a few yeses on the left side. Come back over to the right side, do a few yeses. You can move those balls an inch lower or an inch higher and see if you feel it in a different way. And if it's better for you, you're getting more out of it. Not wrong if you're getting something out of it. You can do just kind of a shimmy your head back and forth. And relax, relax, relax. Close your eyes, deep breath, and dig in. So that's your, in a nutshell, not really a nutshell, a long nutshell there, but that's how you can expect to use it. Now, are we gonna do an hour and 10 minutes in class every day? No, obviously not. But this is your education low to high. So you know how to do it. Usually we say do a brisk over the body. You got 7 minutes. Do a brisk over the body, hit the highlights, and then maybe the five minutes, you do that, in 2 minutes you spend on what your traditional hot spots are. My ITs are always tight, so I know I'm going to spend a little extra time there. I'm going to need to steward that a little extra good. The last thing I want you guys to know about is how to use this when you have an injury. So there's a difference between injury and hot spot. So injury would be more of a, I can't move it, it's swollen, it's out of place, I need to get to a doctor. That is not a time, that is a time to absolutely go see a doctor. A hot spot might be something that it's flared up. We could do a little bit of work there. It's just going to take a little bit of time and effort on our part to heal it. So that said, the way that you can use the mobility balls, a lot of people think, let me go right into the line of fire and I'm going to get this and I'm going to loosen it up. Never go into the line of fire. We're going to go north and south always. So most often, let's just use the knee as an example. I hurt my knee hurts, something's wrong. Okay, so we're going to get everything that leads into that, north and south. So that's going to be the feet, the calves, the shins, the suprapatellar pouch, the quads, the hamstrings, the ITs, everything north and south. We're going to go all the way around there and reassess and see how we feel. And you eventually work towards the line of fire. But for the first, let's just say if you have something that you're healing for a month, for the first 2 weeks, you're not going in the line of fire. You're going to steward everything around it and loosen those up. Most of the time, those are tight and it's pulling it in a funky direction. And that's what caused the issue to begin with. And that's what's preventing you from feeling painless. So remember, north and south, never go in the line of fire to start with. Always ask one of your coaches if you have something going on, raise your hand, give us a little, unmute yourself, tell us on the computer, and we can help give you some guidelines on how to steward that area a little bit more. Who has questions at this point? So we've covered a lot. We've covered the whys, the hows. Are there certain areas that you need more ideas for, or just in general questions on mobility? Yeah, that was good. No questions. I covered it all. Or you guys are just like, please get me off of here. Get me away. I'm done. You've heard me enough. All right, well, good job, team. If you come up with any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out. And this is recorded, so we're going to send it out to the other friends that missed tonight. And but it'll go to you guys as well, so you'll have it as a resource to fall back on.
Thanks so much, Kelsey. That was great.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Kelsey. It was great.